Welcome to another video lesson in physical education. I will be glad to be with you in this journey as you discover new lesson through this video. I am Sir Devonjan C. Gomez of Bacongco National High School, your teacher for today's lesson. In this lesson, we will talk about one of the qualities of a coach that must possess, which is leadership. Students, prepare yourself because it is going to be an extraordinary and fantastic lesson. But before proceeding to our discussion, I want you to pay very close attention to the video clip that I am about to show you. Your task is simple. Just list down all of your observations. Ready? Here we go!
Oh no! I'm lost! Where's the line? It just went away! What do I do?
Help!
I'll be stuck here forever!
Do not panic! Do not panic! We are trained professionals! Now stay calm. We are going around the leaf.
Around the leaf? I don't think we can do that.
Oh, nonsense. This is nothing compared to the twig of 93. That's it. That's it. Good! You're doing great! There you go! There you go! Watch my eyes. Don't look away. And here's the line again.
Thank you, Mr. Soil.
Good job, everybody!
Oh my, there's quite a gap, Mr. Soil. Shouldn't we tell the Queen?
I don't think we need to involve the Queen in this. She's got enough on her plate already. Training her daughter.
Oh yes, Princess Ada, the poor dear.
What have you observed in the video? Why do we need to have this kind of quality? As a coach, is it important to have this kind of quality? These questions will be our guide in learning our lesson for today. Are you excited to learn? Let's go! After going through this lesson, you are expected to attain the following objectives. At the end of the chapter, the student is expected to define leader and leadership, point out the approaches and theories of leadership, identify the components of effective leadership, discuss the value of leadership powers, and demonstrate an effective leadership. Before anything else, let me remind you that in order to achieve our objectives, you need to pay very close attention to whatever I discuss in the video lesson. Is that clear, students? Good! What is a leader? Gardner defined leader as a person who significantly influences the thoughts, behaviors, and feelings of others. A leader guides the members to achieve goals and objectives. Qualities of a good leader. Moreover, Honorato 2004 described the qualities of a leader to become effective in communicating with athletes. A coach as a good leader must have to: Number 1. Communicate well and make the athletes around him or her better. Number 2. Articulate what the athletes think and how they feel in an understandable manner. Number 3. Speak in a way that team members want to listen. Number 4. Verbalize concerns to each athlete in a manner that inspires, encourages, and challenges. Number 5. Honestly evaluate athletes' strengths and weaknesses. Number 6. Have a clear idea as to where team members are going. Number 7. Focus on finding ways to get the task done. Number 8. Consider multiple options or perspectives before making a decision. Number 9. Be decisive when the need arises. Number 10. Be able to move on to the next task. Lastly, number 11, train athletes to be a good leader. What is leadership? Chela Durai, 1999, defined leadership as a behavioral process aimed at influencing members to work toward the goals of the group. Here are the approaches of leadership. Two major approaches of leadership. Number 1, trait approach. Cox 2002 defined leadership traits as relatively stable personality dispositions such as intelligence, aggressiveness, and independence. Number 2, behavior approach. Wu and Cox viewed this approach as leadership with observable actions instead of personality traits. Contrary to traits, behaviors could be observed, measured, acted, and motivated. Two styles of leader behavior according to Ratzbark 2001 from the University of Michigan that identify the two styles of leader behavior. Production-centered behavior, when a leader pays close attention to the work of subordinates, explain work procedures, and is keenly interested in performance. Employee-centered behavior, when the leader is interested in developing a cohesive work group and in ensuring members are satisfied with their tasks. Initiating structure behavior, when the leader clearly defines the leader's subordinate, establishes formal lines of communication, and determines how tasks are to be performed. Consideration behavior, when the leader shows concern for subordinates and attempts to establish a warm, friendly, and supportive climate. Here are the theories of leadership. In sports psychology, the commonly used leadership theories I described below. Number 1, the Cheladuri's multidimensional model of leadership. As discussed in Chapter 8, this model showed the distinctions among required, actual, and preferred behavior of leaders. Number 2, mediational theory of leadership. Small, Smith, and Associates, cited in Robert Spink and Pemberton 1999, formulated the sport-specific theory of leadership in the youth sport. Two phases of mediational theory of leadership. The first phase was the development of coaching behavior assessment systems, or CBAS. It is composed of many categories describing coaching behaviors such as reactive behaviors and spontaneous behaviors. The second phase was the use of CBAS to determine the relationship between the behavior of baseball coaches and player perceptions of coaching behaviors. As a whole, Small and Smith, cited in Wayburn and Gold 1999, presented the categories of coaching behavior as described below. Reactive behaviors. Number 1, responses to desirable performance. We have here the reinforcement, a positive rewarding reaction. It could be verbal or non-verbal to a good play or good effort. Non-reinforcement, failure to respond to a good performance. Another type of reactive behavior is the response to mistakes. Mistake contingent encouragement given to a player following a mistake. We have here the mistake, contingent technical instruction or demonstration to a player on how to correct a mistake he or she has made. Another is the punishment, a negative reaction, verbal or non-verbal, following a mistake. Next is the punitive technical instruction following a mistake given in a punitive or hostile manner. Ignoring mistakes, failure to respond to a player's mistake. Another type of reactive behavior is the responses to misbehavior, keeping control, reactions intended to restore or maintain among team members. We have 7 spontaneous behaviors. Number 1 is the game related. So general technical instruction, spontaneous instruction in the technique and strategies of the sport, not following a mistake. Under game related, we have here the general encouragement, spontaneous encouragement that does not follow a mistake. Another is the organization, administrative behavior that sets the stage for play by assigning duties or responsibilities. Another type of spontaneous behavior is the game irrelevant, general communication interactions with players unrelated to the game. Another, number 3, we have the Fiedler's contingency theory. Fiedler 1967 originally posits that this theory is a two-way interaction between a measure of leader-task motivation versus relationship motivation and a measure of what was initially referred to as situational favorableness and later relabeled to situational control. Number 4 is the path goal theory. House and his associates 2000 explain this theory as leaders who are effective because of their impact on subordinates' motivations, ability to perform effectively, and satisfactions. Next one, number 5, life cycle theory. Cox 2002 maintains that this theory emphasizes the leadership behavior on the subordinates and not on the leader. Leaders and coaches must be sensitive to the specific maturity level of the athlete and his or her leadership styles in a given situation. Number 6, normative theory of leadership. Vroom and his associates, cited in 1997, proposed this theory to leaders who make decisions must have the proper amount of input given to the subordinates. There are 5 various types of decisions are described below. Number 1 is the autocratic one. AI, the leader makes the decision alone with the information already available. Next is the autocratic 2. The leader acquires information from subordinates and then makes the decision alone using the information gathered. Next is the consultative 1. The leader consults with subordinates individually, acquiring information and their suggestions or comments. The leader then makes the decision alone using the information gathered. Next is the consultative 2. The leader consults with subordinates in a group meeting, acquiring information and their suggestions or comments. Type of decision is the group decision. The leader consults with subordinates a group meeting, acquiring information and their suggestions or comments. The last type of spontaneous behavior is the attributional theory of leadership. 1997 maintains that this theory focuses on leaders' evaluations of the performance of subordinates and that the attributional process has an impact on the evaluations. Components of effective leadership in consonance with the personal and situational factors, understanding the 4 components such as leader qualities, leadership style, situational factors, and followers qualities would contribute in developing effective leadership. One component is the leader's qualities. Parcells, cited in Weinberg and Gould 1999, mentioned the qualities of the football coach and a winner of the 2 Super Bowls which had proven successful in leadership. The keys to successful leadership are as follows. Is integrity. A leader's philosophy must have a sound structure, must be rooted in his basic values, communicated and accepted throughout the organization, resistant to outside pressure, and remain in place long enough to allow for success. Next is flexibility. Traditions are made to be broken. If you're doing something just because it has always been done that way, then you may be missing an opportunity to do better. Loyalty. The first task of leadership is to promote and enforce collective loyalty, also known as teamwork. Confidence. If you want to build a strong confidence in your players and coaching staff, give them responsibility and decision-making capabilities and support them in their attempts. Candor. When sending a message, it's not nor enough to be honest and accurate. The impact of the message will hinge on who is receiving it and what they are willing to take it at that time. Preparedness. Well-prepared leaders plan ahead for all contingencies, including the ones they consider unlikely or distasteful. Resourcefulness. At its most basic level, resourcefulness is simply resilience, a refusal to quit or give in even when all seems bleak. Self-discipline. There is always a way to compete even against superior forces, but it requires strict adherence to a calculated plan. Patience. Patience is rarest and most valuable when an organization is performing poorly. It's not enough to know what changes must be made. It's equally important to decide when to make them. Another component of effective leader is the leadership styles. Weinberg and Gould 1999 pointed out democratic or authoritative styles can effectively integrate and blend as long as coach can have positive interaction with athletes in remaining focused on achieving excellence. The third component of effective leader is the situational factors. Martin, cited in Weinberg Gould 1999, had enumerated several situational factors that are necessary in the formulation of effective leadership programs in sports. These are: is it team or individual sport? Team sport athletes typically prefer more autocratic leaders than do individual sport athletes. Next is it an interactive, example basketball, or coactive bowling sport? Interactive team athletes prefer more task-oriented leaders than do coactive team athletes. What is the size of the team? As the group size increases, it becomes more difficult to effectively use a democratic leadership style. How much time is available? When little time is available, a task-oriented leader is more desirable. Does the group have particular leadership tradition? A group that has a tradition with one style of leadership will typically have difficulty in changing to another style of leadership. Powers of leadership. Successful teams are managed by effective leaders. Coaches and exercise specialists are leaders who seek to assure each athlete maximum opportunities to have success. Furthermore, French and Raven, cited in 1997, identified 5 sources of leadership power as described below. Number 1, expert power, the ability to change another individual's attitude or behavior because a person is believed to be knowledgeable, skillful, or talented in a certain area. Number 2, legitimate power, the ability to change another individual's attitude or behavior because of a person's position in the organization. For example, a coach in a strict sense is an authority figure that athletes must follow. Number 3, referent power, the ability to change another individual's attitude or behavior because a person is liked and respected by the group members. Number 4, reward power, the ability to change someone's attitude or behavior because a person has access to one or more desired rewards. Number 5, coercive power, the ability to change someone's attitude or behavior because a person controls access to one or more punishments. For example, the coach imposes sanctions such as preventing athletes to play, reprimands them, or dismiss them from team sport. 2 basic thoughts on power in leadership as enumerated below. Number 1, power source. The source elements are enablers who possess competence, relationships, and motivation. Number 2, power impact. The impact elements are what the enablers influence in an organization that include knowledge, integration, and energy or edge. Here are some ways on how to develop effective leadership. Number 1, understanding the needs and characteristics of the group. Each individual member of the group has certain needs and characteristics. Number 2, knowing and using the resources of the group. Resources include all those things necessary to do a job. Resources also include people because people have knowledge and skills. Number 3, communicating to improve one's skills in getting information. And number 4, planning. Planning is an important part of everything that an individual can do in order to reach the goal of the game. Number 5, controlling group performance. A leader influences the performance of the group and individual members through his or her actions. Number 6, evaluating. Evaluating helps measure the performance of the group in getting a job done and working together. And number 7, setting the example. Setting the example is probably the most important leadership factor. It is most effective way to show others the proper way to conduct themselves and even more effective than verbal communication. Number 8, sharing leadership. While there are various ways to exercise leadership, the goal of effective leadership is exemplified in a quote from the ancient Chinese philosopher Lao Tzu, but a good leader, when the work is done, his aim fulfilled, they will say, "We did this ourselves." Number 9, counseling. Counseling is important to help people solve problems, to encourage or reassure, to help the team reach their potentials. And lastly, number 10, effective teaching is a process that will increase the knowledge, skills, and attitudes of the group and its members. The focus is on learning, not teaching. For teaching to be effective, learning must take place.
That ends my presentation. I hope you have learned anything from our discussion. If you have any questions or difficulties in our lesson, you can watch the video anytime. Once again, I am Sir Devonjan C. Gomez saying each one of us has the capability to lead. And let us always remember the difference between a boss and a leader. A boss says go, and a leader says let's go. Good day!